Recently, British Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden made some remarks that left both the English and Europeans quite concerned. It is possible that Europe may face a widespread blackout as early as 2024. During a visit to a military base in England, Dowden emphasized the necessity of launching an awareness campaign among the population to begin organizing themselves for potential chaos in the electrical and communication systems. He stressed the importance of Britons getting accustomed to storing items currently deemed obsolete but which will prove immensely useful in times of crisis. Among these items are battery-powered radios and lanterns, stocks of various sized conventional batteries, as well as candles, first aid kits, and long-lasting food supplies. Additionally, Dowden urged psychological preparedness for what lies ahead. His concern is so tangible that he's announcing the launch of a government program, tentatively named the Resilience Academy. This national-scale initiative aims to assist citizens in coping with potential future threats, such as pandemics, natural disasters, cyber attacks, and the discomforting current global conflicts, particularly in the Middle East and Eastern Europe. Controversies in England don't stop there. Since April 2023, millions of Britain's cell phones have been receiving audible alerts, similar to sirens, even when in silent mode. This has led English citizens to question the government's intentions with these alerts and has amplified concerns globally. Dowden himself is a staunch supporter of this alert system, arguing that it could save lives, likening it to fire alarms in buildings that can make the difference between life and death. However, the smartphone alert system was largely criticized during its testing phase, with many Britons viewing it as an invasion of individual privacy. Conservative MP Jacob Rees-Mogg expressed frustration, likening it to a nanny state mentality, suggesting that people should be allowed to live their lives and make sensible decisions independently. Other lawmakers criticized the project due to the involvement of the Japanese company Fujitsu, which is embroiled in a scandal with the post office. The value of the contract, around £5.5 million, is also under scrutiny. Despite the criticisms, Dowden and other proponents have compared the emergency system favorably to those used in countries such as the United States, Japan, Canada, and France. However, each with types of services suitable to their needs in Canada. For instance, government agencies typically issue alerts about natural disasters such as blizzards and also public health issues. However, in 2015, residents of Manitoba province were outraged by a tornado alert, claiming that the recording was so distorted that the names of the locations to be hit were not understood on the Tizen land. Especially in regions that are part of the tornado belt like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and others, it is common for the population to receive alerts on their cell phones when their homes are likely to be in the path of a hurricane, giving time for most citizens to either leave their homes or go to an underground shelter. This is common even in South Korea, which has adopted a natural disaster alert system, providing information and guidance in emergency situations during the COVID-19 pandemic. The system was widely used by South Koreans, and considering the organization and rules of the country, it can be said to have been positively accepted by the population. However, in England, things are different. Incomplete information sometimes reaches the population, leaving them intrigued. Dowden also warned about the indiscriminate use of artificial intelligence and how this could be very negative for many people. In his list of potential problems, the Deputy Prime Minister also includes extreme weather phenomena, and because of all this, he wants to train the English citizen in his resilience project regarding a possible communication blackout, including on the internet. Throughout this year, there is already a forecast, according to scientists from the NOAA, NASA, and other institutions that observe not only weather conditions but also solar activities. The fact is that the sun is in a phase of quite high activity, and everything indicates that there will be a very strong electromagnetic storm that could seriously affect satellites and also ground-based equipment. Considering the conditions in which humanity, or at least the majority of it, lives today, relying almost exclusively on technology and the internet, it is certain that problems will arise, and a certain chaos could impact various sectors such as the economy, transportation, agriculture, and livestock farming. In short, everything that uses GPS communication systems and the internet could indeed be affected. Among the consequences of a solar storm, we can highlight power outages in electrical networks, probable damage to urban infrastructure caused by unpredictable lightning strikes, interruptions in radio transmissions, mandatory changes in flight paths, especially those conducted at high latitudes, short circuits in transmission lines, power stations, and also in satellites. Significant damage to telecommunication systems, notably telephones, radio, and the Internet, and the cessation of other services and equipment depending on satellites, such as GPS devices, antennas, among others. Just imagining that such a blackout is likely to occur is enough to unsettle the pride of the rulers and businessmen who have not yet found any solution to anticipate the event and prevent it from happening. In this case, humanity will have to learn to deal with daily life as our ancestors did. It may seem like an exaggeration now, but if this blackout really occurs, we may have to readjust until the problem is resolved. Resilience would be the right word, isn't it? In parallel to the concerns raised by the Deputy Prime Minister, the English populace has been bombarded with other rather grim news. In this instance, responsibility has been laid at the feet of Prime Minister Liz Truss. She's facing accusations of being woefully unprepared for an imminent energy crisis that, according to the Mirror newspaper, could plunge England into the darkness of winter. Recently, English citizens have been enduring around 3 hours of nightly power outages, attributed to the country's heavy reliance on Russian gas imports for energy generation. Additionally, The Guardian has warned that persistent power cuts could jeopardize lives. England has a significant elderly population requiring additional care and medical devices at home. Both drastic rationing and sudden power cuts could potentially damage these crucial devices precisely when they are most needed. Needless to say, enduring a British winter without electricity is far from comfortable. In fact, it poses serious risks to lives without household heating. As we're aware, Russia faced widespread boycotts from several Western nations, including England, after its incursion into Ukraine in 2022. In response, the Russian government decided to cut gas supplies to various European countries, especially those critical of its actions. England took a firm stance, initially offering moral support to Ukraine and later providing military aid, akin to actions taken by the United States and other UN member states. Truss's misstep was to reassure the population during her campaign, suggesting that rationing wasn't rational, playing on words, and indicating that the English need not worry about a gas shortage. Unfortunately, she believed the war wouldn't last long, a serious miscalculation. As a result, according to sources, England lacks sufficient reserves for energy generation, making power outages the only viable option to navigate through winter with limited resources. However, Truss's error isn't unique. Any country that ignores warning signs risks paying a hefty price in the future. We're not speaking of a distant future, as there are currently 2 ongoing wars that deserve global attention. According to the Portuguese news site Expresso, analysts assert that Russia benefits from the Middle Eastern conflict and receives military support from Iran. Both countries aim to challenge American hegemony, particularly in Europe and the Middle East. Thus, these 2 wars share common concerns among experts and global leaders. While some portray these conflicts as primarily regional issues to be resolved among Europeans, Russians, Iranians, and Israelis, the truth is that these wars teeter on the brink of merging into one with global consequences. Therefore, it's concerning for any country if this escalates into a larger conflict, as the bitterness and poison of war are experiences no one desires. Presently, a significant maritime conflict is underway, affecting international maritime trade, with cargo ships becoming targets for the resistance axis, led by Iran and its allies. Europeans, in particular, are bearing the brunt of this conflict. If a ceasefire and eventual peace agreement are not reached, it's likely that a blackout, not just in electricity or communication systems but also in global production lines and food distribution, could result in an unimaginable crisis. If the 1940s were challenging during World War II, one can only imagine the potential severity today, given the current global population size. More people mean larger statistics in all areas. Let us pray.